Hi everyone, and welcome back to the poker vlog. Today's episode is wild. I make my way to the high limit slots area of the casino. Just kidding. I played the highest stake I've ever played, 5, 10, 25, and there are some massive hands. Let's get into it. Now that I've taken a week-long break, I'm ready to battle it out in Florida before moving to New York. It's my first night here, and I'm looking for some action in Hard Rock Hollywood. Immediately as I explore the poker room, I noticed that there's something different about the 510 table, as the standard raise size is 75. Upon closer inspection, I saw that the game's no 510, but rather it's 5-10-25. The table seems good as I saw a 3-way 4-bet pot with 3K in the pot pre-flop. However, considering my bankroll, I decided I wanted to do a min-buying of $500 to cap my losses and to run over the table with all-ins. I played 2-5 for a bit, and as soon as I got called, I pocketed the extra chips and sat down on the 5-10-25 must-move table with 20 big blind in front of me. I blind down for one orbit, then pick up ace-queen in a double board bomb pot and miss both boards. My stack dwindles down to 410 as I finally get involved. Here, I pick up 7's UTG and open to 60. The table's got action as I get called by the cutoff, small blind, and the straddle. We're 4-ace to flop with SPR less than 1.5. The flop came Jack-Jack-8, not the most amazing flop ever. Checks me, and don't think I can bet here multi-way. I check, and cutoff checks back. Turn came another Jack, so that's actually pretty decent for me. Checks me once again, and here, given that small blind and the straddle have checked twice, I don't think they have many Jack-X or 8X in their range. I ambitiously thought that there's a decent chance that my 7s could be ahead here. If that's the case, however, every opponent will certainly have a decent amount of equity against me. So I throw a small bet to deny those equity and potentially see a cheap showdown. And I accidentally made it too big. I bet 100, which is far from a small bet my head intended to do. Oh well, maybe we'll take this one down, right? Cutoff folds, good. Now I at least get to see a cheap showdown if I don't get raised. Small blind calls. That's kind of concerning. The straddle also calls. Shoot. I think I'm drawing dead. The river's another 8, so now I'm playing the board. It'll be pretty maniacal to try to bluff 2 opponents off the chop, if it even is a chop. What's more, after small blind checks, straddle donks out massively for 450 total, covering me. I thought about calling for a chop here. However, is straddle really overcalling with the 8 or worse on the turn? Furthermore, I have 9s and 10s, plus some slow play jacks in this spot, and my 7s doesn't block any of my opponent's value range. Thinking I don't have to defend this spot, especially multi-way, I fold, and small blind shows an 8 before folding himself too. Well, I was indeed drawing dead on the turn. What a punt. We're down to a stack of 185, and we desperately need a double up. But sadly, a new guy on the table now refuses to straddle, so the game is back down to 510, which is a shame. Soon, UTG plus 1 opens to 35, and I look down next to act at pocket kings. At this stack depth, I think it's most plus EV to slow play and flat, since I don't really need that much protection with kings. Our deception works out as there are 2 more callers on the hijack and button behind me. Once again, SPR is less than 1.5. The flop was not ace high, but it was pretty connected, as I came Jack 9-8 with 2 hearts. UTG plus 1 c-bets 60. Though not loving the spot, I have no option but to push all in for 150 total. Folds around to the razor, and he doesn't look happy. But he also can't fold for so little, he makes the call, and we're off to a run out. I probably want to visit Jack. Besides that though, I'm not sure what cards I don't want to see. The turn was a 4 of spades, which was really safe blank. Come on, one more. The river was the king of hearts, so now I'm ahead of most hands that beats me on the flop, but loses to a flush draw. I table my hand.
Do I need it?
No, you don't need it. That's fine.
Thank you.
The opponent probably has some kind of top pair here. Either way, we pick up a large pot with a bunch of dead money, almost up to our starting stack. Let's continue the trend of picking up good pairs as we get pocket 9s in the hijack. We make it 30. Cutoff calls, and button puts in a squeeze to 125. Although the opponent could have a pair higher than mine, with the middle position open and a call, I could see this opponent squeezing a somewhat wider range. Given that and the SPR, there's only one thing to do at this stack depth with 9s. I announce,
Let's gamble, I'm all in.
for 460 total. Cutoff folds almost immediately. Button tanks for a bit before making the call. I feel pretty good about this spot, since he probably would have snap called with pairs higher than mine, so it's likely that we're flipping, or I might even be ahead of 8s. The flop came Jack 7-7, so Ace King and Ace Queen missed. That's a favorable start. The turn was a queen, so now I lose to a few more hands. The river was an 8, so I also lose in case I was up against 8s. I show my 9s, putting the opponent on Ace King, but nope. He tables Ace Jack of clubs. Just like that, I get stacked. Time to pull out the other 500 in my pocket and gamble it up. The deck hears my wish to gamble and reduces my stack by 50% by giving me Ace Jack on the small blind, which I 3-bet, then c-bet the king high board and got shoved on. I had to fold. I'm once again ultra short with only 260 in front of me. In this hand, it falls to the cutoff, who limps, and I look down at pocket deuces on the button. I was slightly tilted, so I limped behind without giving it too much thought, hoping to send mine. However, small blind dashes my dreams and raises to 75, and it falls back around to me. Here, as I later ran an equilab, I only have around 40% equity against an upswing small blind squeezing range, which is not enough given how little dead money there is in the pot. Plus, I have 0 fold equity. Yet, the tilted me makes what's probably the worst decision I made this night and announce,
Let's gamble.
we get snap called. Time to either face some high cards or bank a 2, right? The flop was pretty deadly, it came Ace King King. So now we lose to everything other than stuff like Queen Jack, Queen 10, or Jack 10. Turn was a queen, so we lose to everything, and we need to bank the 2-outer to win, until the opponent tables King Queen off, which leaves us drawing completely dead. The river 8 doesn't change a whole lot, and we get stacked the second time. I pull out 500 more from my wallet, and try my best to reset mentally. Right after this hand, 5 seats on the main game opens up, which unfortunately includes the seats of some maniacs I observed. Still, I decide to move over and see how things go before choosing to stay or leave. I sit down along with a few others from the must move, and I'm delighted to find the straddle back on. Slot machine mode, activate. So my straddle, the very first hand of the action, and UTG plus 2 opens to 75, and button calls, before I look down at the beautiful pocket 9s once again. It's a snap decision for me, I announce.
All in.
The razor folds, so it seems likely that I'll pick up $155 of dead money, which I will absolutely take. Now it's on the big blind, he thinks for a bit. If he has 10s or better, he will definitely 3-bet before me, so maybe I can even get a call from a lower pair. Finally, the big blind calls, and we're off to a run out. The flop was a disaster, came Ace 8-4, so I lose to 8x and pocket 8s. Turn was a king, and once again, I feel like I'm drawing to 2 outs. The river had a lot of symbols on it, but had too many as it came a 10. I tabled my 9s, not expecting to be good, and indeed I'm correct, as the opponent tables Ace King off. What a line to take. Either he's the biggest nit on the planet, or he was slow rolling me pre-flop without snap calling. Just like that, I get stacked for a 3rd time, first hand on the new table. Remembering that I had about 2k to start the night, I pull out the last 500 from my pocket for the 4th and final bullet. If I lose this, I will not be able to continue and have to go back to the hotel. The guy who refuses to straddle transfers over from the must move and sets my direct left. However, the rest of the table was gracious enough to continue straddling despite that, and I obliged by agreeing to straddle my 20 big blind stack. An orbit later, low jack opens to 75 for a 7.5x open. The most likely explanation is that he thought the straddle was on, but it's also possible that he had a monster and pretends to have forgotten about the straddle. It folds to me with ace-9 suited on the small blind, and I started frowning as he opened. Low jack notices my frown, looks around, and said that he thought the straddle was on. So he probably actually made a mistake. Furthermore, if his reaction is honest, he might be holding a non-nut hand and didn't feel comfortable with such a big size. Given these reads, and feeling a bit tired of not winning hands, I make a marginal shove, praying for a fold. I give the opponent a count, and luckily for me, he quickly obliges by mucking his hand. With just one shove, I pick up $85 of dead money in the middle, making my stack the largest it has spent the entire night. The deck decides to give me something even better, as the very next hand, there's a low jack open to 60 over the straddle, and on the button with ace queen off. It's an easy one for me.
All in.
535 total. I wouldn't say no to picking up the dead money again. However, after seeing my count, The small blind asks a question that sends shivers down my spine.
What's the minimum I can raise? Double?
Holy shit, he's got a monster. At best, he has jacks and we're flipping. However, it's likely that I'm extremely dominated, and worst case, drawing to about 7%. Instead of Vegas in the fucking Mirage, all I can think about now is curling up in the soothing comfort of my bed in Holiday Inn. The opponent min clicks, everyone folds, and I tell the table,
I'm going home.
I'm praying that one of my cards is live, but I don't even know which one. Somehow, the opponent tells me that he just has a medium pocket pair, and asks me what I have.
I have 2 overs probably. On the show?
Given the action, this is the best case scenario I could ask for, but I still need to hit. This is the time when you smash that like and subscribe button for the bank, cause our cash game life depends on it. 3, 2, 1. The flop was Jack 7-7, an absolute disaster. The turn came a miracle queen. The river was a blank 8. Finally, after losing 3 flips in a row, I get a full double up and more, sitting with over 1100 in front of me. I take a deep breath, try to not get carried away by all the adrenaline, and brace myself for playing actual poker against competent opponents. The game goes on for 30 minutes, and opens some hands in c-bet. Either taking it down or get called down, I have to give up. The table seems to be getting a bit tougher, and I'm thinking about leaving. I thought about announcing one last orbit to the table for politeness, but decided that I don't want to give away any tells whatsoever. Plus, these guys play a lot higher than I'm used to, so I shouldn't feel bad for hit and running, right? The orbit is coming to an end, and I'm UTG +2 for what I tell myself is the final hand of the night, when I pick up pocket tens. I open the 70. Only the cutoff calls, and he's the only person who's been VPipping at a higher than GTO rate at this point. Even then, he's nothing like the other maniacs I've played with. We're heads up to the flop. The flop was King 4-4. Theoretically, I should be c-betting a lot of my range on this board. However, pairs queens to tens are the hands that should check the most, since they need the least amount of protection. I decide to check, and the opponent quickly checks back. The turn was problematic, it came a jack, meaning I lose to more hands now. I check again, and this time, the opponents fire out for a 110. Although not loving the spot, I absolutely cannot fold here. I call.
Donation.
River was one of the best non-10 cards in the deck. Came in offsuit 4, reducing the number of 4x the opponent might have, without improving anything. I check, and on this river, the opponent runs his finger through his giant stack of black chips, eventually cutting out 3 of them, and throws them into the middle. At this, I'm in the tank. Multiple forces are pulling me in different directions. To start, rivers are under-bluffed live, and I obviously just have a bluff catcher here. I even block combos of Queen 10 suited, the opponent half that will double barrel. What's my MDF? After checking the flop and turn, my range consists of weak king, queens through 10s, occasionally kings which I slow play, and misdraws. Against certain players, this will be a snap fold. But this is 5-10, and people are definitely capable. Furthermore, it's definitely possible that these players notice me playing with a short stack and think I'm scared, therefore trying to pressure me. I tell him again,
Donation.
and flicks in 3 black chips. The opponent is now hesitant to show his cards, so I feel like I got the winner. Finally, he tables 10-7 off for 0% on the turn. Wow, maybe this guy's a maniac after all. I pick up a nice pot to finish off the night. Except I did feel kinda bad to leave immediately after winning an almost 1k pot, so I decided to stay until the next dealer change. I'm on the straddle with about 5 minutes till that happens. This is it, I tell myself. Regardless if I double up or get stacked, I'm going home soon. The maniac who called with 10-7 off opens the 75 on the hijack, and surprisingly, the cutoff, button, and small blind all call. I look down, and my favorite hand, ace-5 suited. I've tabled only solid hands tonight, and it's time to cash in on that image and bring down the hammer. I'm 3-bet squeezing this hand, but I need the size. I had about 1700 in front of me, so I want to raise to an amount which I can get away from if I get shoved on. Not wanting to take too long and give off tells, I grab 5 black chips and throw them into the middle. The maniac almost snap folds. Phew. One by one, everyone else folds, and pick up over $300 of dead money without even having to see a flop. Since it's one of my last hands, I flip over the 5 to show the table that it made it a good fold for me. After one more hand, the new dealer comes in and rack up my chips and cash them out. I was in for 4 bolas for 2K total and out for 2010 for a profit of $10 or 0.4 big blinds over this 3-hour roller coaster session. That right there was the best slot machine experience I've ever had. That's it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time for Revenge in Detroit.